Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I wanted to feature this stand mount speaker which I've recently designed and built. So I call it the 1159 series and I'll be making it available for purchase on my website. And so it's a solid walnut front baffle and then the rest of the cabinet will be available as a flat pack. So you can see there we've pocketed out the back. The tweeter is horn loaded there so you can get all the advantages of a horn loaded dome tweeter. And so it uses a 5-inch SB Acoustics. This is the NRXC, which uses the copper shorting ring for lower distortion. Great sounding woofer, very tuneful, delicate, refined bass. I'm really happy with the bass that's coming out of this. So this is a dome tweeter, SB29. Give you the exact number here. RDNC. So this is a very popular dome tweeter from SB. Features a 29mm diameter voice coil. And so what I've done in this is I've taken the technology from my other products, which is the ES horn flare geometry, which wraps around the baffle, and it does that geometry in the horizontal and also in the vertical. And so what we're doing is we're getting all the advantages of horn loading a dome tweeter. So I'll just list off quickly what those advantages are. So the baffle's 40mm thick, and so it's actually perfectly time aligning the drivers, and so the woofer and the tweeter. Also we're getting better pattern control, which means that the horn is controlling the coverage, and I'll show you that in a minute how that provides sound quality advantages. The other aspect is that by horn loading the tweeter, you're not making the tweeter work nearly as hard to produce the same sound, and so you're gonna lower the distortion as a result. So what I wanted to do in this video is do a quick comparison between this and a regular test baffle, and I'll just show you the test baffle there. This is a beveled baffle, 24mm thick Baltic birch plywood, and then I've put chamfers on the baffle as well, just so it gives it the best chance of performing. Okay, so let's go right to the measurements here. You can see here a direct comparison in the frequency response. So you may be a little bit startled at this frequency response with the horn. This is totally expected. So normally a horn is going to provide 9 dB boost in sensitivity at the horn's cutoff. So in this case it's 2 kilohertz. So you can see there 2 kilohertz is actually 9 dB higher than the regular test baffle. And then it has a nice gradual falling response above that. Okay, so that's what I would refer to as the transfer function of the horn. And because the SB tweeter is so flat in its frequency response, normally you can very clearly see the effect of the horn on the tweeter. And so let's look at the off-axis polar map. So you can see here the horn is providing coverage control starting at around 1 kilohertz, and then it has a nice narrowing up to 10 kilohertz, and I think it's around 90-degree coverage window at around 13 kilohertz. So we're getting really consistent. So the fact that it's so smooth is showing you that there's really no edge diffraction off this baffle because it has a perfect ES curvature around to the sides and at the top. However, when we look at the non-horn loaded test baffle, you can see that it's basically spraying sound 180 degrees until it gets up to around 6 kilohertz, and it then quickly narrows. So that's just gonna really throw the interaction between your reflections in your room with the direct sound. So they're not gonna have the same sonic signature, and so half of what you hear are the reflections in the room, and so it's just not gonna sound right. And so when you listen to this, it just sounds proper in the sense that instruments sound like they have the proper timbre, vocals sound more realistic, and distortion is lower. So let's move on to the crossover aspect on this. So nice advantage with this is that you can use just a single cap on the tweeter. And you may wonder, well, what about distortion? A lot of people try to go with the first order crossover, but then distortion quickly rises at the crossover point. However, consider this. Tweeter's not working nearly as hard at the 2 kilohertz mark. It's got 9 dB of headroom compared to the regular test baffle that I showed you. So you have your peak, and actually I'm going to do it mirrored because I'm trying to do it mirrored for you. So you have your make sure I got this right. Okay, so you have your rising response like I showed you earlier, and then so as you implement your crossover, it's going to go down like this. And then this part of it is going to be extremely steep, right? Because you start it up like this and it's going to go down like that, and it's going to be a very steep filter, similar to as if you had implemented a 48 dB per octave high pass slope, but it's actually an acoustical slope that's protecting the tweeter from over excursion for at high SPL. And that proves out, we can look at the SPL tests. And so what I did is I did a side-by-side, and I gradually increased the volume at 5 dB increments, and I observed what happens to the distortion as we raise that level. And so with the test baffle, you can see that at say 95 dB, we're already at 2% distortion at the crossover point. However, if we look at our 1159 baffle, distortion remains low at around 0.8%. And so even as we increase it to 100 dB, you can see that distortion skyrockets to 5% on the test baffle, and it still remains below 1%, which is an excellent result there for the 1159. And that's with a single capacitor on the tweeter. So there you have it. Gives you huge flexibility on crossover design development. I'll put some links to some of the products that I'll be offering for this. I'm going to be selling just the baffle. If you want to build the cabinet yourself, but you just need the baffle since it's precision CNC machined, I'll be offering the cabinet as well as a flat pack, and also the speaker stand. So the cabinet itself is built from 24 millimeter thick Baltic birch plywood, so it's heavy. And same with the speaker stands, 24 millimeter. I'll put some pictures up of what the speaker stand looks like as a finished product. And so it's got the curved front, and then when you order it, you can either have the ribbing there in the speaker stand or not. So I tried to maintain the flat pack to cater to DIY in the sense that the baffle screws on still from the inside, so you can screw the baffle on from the inside, and then the back cover is removable, so it still allows easy access and for modifications and changes. And I'll also offer this 1159 speaker as a finished product, so it'll have the walnut veneer on the outside on the cabinet as well. It's been an interesting project. Subjective sound quality, excellent sounding speaker, the very smooth and detailed sound. And I was really surprised with the little SB woofer. Like I mentioned earlier, the bass quality is excellent. And so what I think you can see based on the measurements that we're taking in already, excellent two-way setup that's very popular, and we're just expanding, improving on that performance by implementing the horn on the dome tweeter. And there's virtually no drawbacks to doing this. It's just all advantages in terms of sound quality and performance. There you have it. Take care and have a great day.